Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopijana Vallabha, Jaya Girivardhari, Jaya Gopijana Vallabha, Jaya Girivardhari, Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudev. Gurudeva Jaya Gurudev Jai. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamascha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम 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 हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे राम राम हरे Hare Krishna. Let's start reading from Prabhupada Lilamrita. I'll give one more try and see if I'm able to share my screen. And if not, then we will. Okay. Let's see if you are able to. Are you able to see?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Jai. Technology Prabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. At the storefront, one of the devotees offered Judy some prasadam, a chapati, and then invited her up to the Swami's room. Upstairs, she entered the large front room, which was filled with fragrant smoke. There were tall flower vases, and sesame seeds were on the floor. She saw the Swami bow before the little picture of Lord Chaitanya and his associates, and then stand and leave the room, closing the door behind him. Judy decided that he must have been bowing to the floor itself. Around her, everyone was softly chanting on beads, and although she couldn't make out the words, it seemed peaceful. One of the Swami's disciples told her that she could come into the back room, and she followed, curious. The Swami was sitting there on his mat, looking effulgent. There were about 10 other people in the room. Prabhupada asked her if she liked the chanting in the park, and she replied, I loved it. Do you live near here? He asked. Judy flashed on her idea that she was the all pervading truth and answered in a way which she thought must have sounded very mystical. Oh, I live very near. Good, said Swamiji. Then you can come for our morning kirtan and class. Then she realized that she didn't live so near and that it would mean traveling an hour and a half from the Bronx to visit the Swami. But she decided that since he had asked her, she would come. Then she thought, I am making this up, but Prabhupada assured her, as if knowing her thoughts. This process is nothing you have made up. It is very old, very simple, and sublime. He leaned back. We are eternal, he said, and everything around us is temporary. Judy was now coming down from the LSD. By the time she left the Swami, it was late. She had wanted to say stay overnight, but the boys hadn't allowed her, but she was determined to join. For Bob, it seemed natural to follow up on what he had seen in the park. He began attending the evening classes and he started reading the Bhagavatam at home and chanting. He framed the picture from the Bhagavatam dust jacket depicting the spiritual sky and placed it on his small homemade altar. He would offer flowers before the picture and sit before it chanting Hare Krishna. Bob was fascinated by the philosophy in the books and classes, and from the very beginning, he was amazed that Swamiji's teachings answered all his questions. He listened carefully and accepted. It seemed like once I had decided that he was telling the truth, I just accepted everything he said. Not that part of it was the truth and the rest of it I would have to think about. October 19th. It was Monday evening after the Sunday Kirtan in the park, and Dan arrived at the storefront for Kirtan. The Kirtan was in full swing, and when he entered, the first thing he noticed was some people playing on the innards of an upright piano leaning against the wall near the door. A boy handed him some wooden sticks and he sat down and joined in the Kirtan. Then came the Swami's lecture, which Dan thought was long and serious about how sexual desire causes bondage and suffering. The temple was crowded and stuffy, and Dan was shocked by the lecture, but he stayed on because he knew there would be another Kirtan. He felt uneasy that the Swami's followers were all celibate, but because he liked the Kirtanas, he resolved to keep coming. The Swami wasn't quite what Dan had expected. He had imagined something of a light-hearted Zen Roshi, laughing and joking with sparkling eyes and words filled with paradoxes. But he found the Swami just the opposite, very straightforward and even cutting in his speech, and his mouth turned down at the corners, making him look mournful. Dan happily took to the Kirtan, thinking they would aid his impersonal meditation. But the lectures kept stressing that God was a person. Dan resisted. He mentally debated with Prabhupada. He was partial to Dr. Radha Krishna's interpretation of the Gita, and yet the Swami often launched ruthless attacks against such impersonal ideas. Gradually, Dan saw his impersonal barrier crumble, and he came to admit that on every count, the Swami was right. Judy began attending both the morning and evening classes. She had to rise by 5 o'clock to get to the storefront on time, and her mother and father protested, but Judy didn't care. She would ride an hour and a half on the subway before dawn downtown to the Swami's meetings, where she would be the only girl present. When the Swami heard that Judy was an art student, he asked her to paint for Krishna. She set up a canvas in front room of the apartment, and under his guidance, she began painting. For her first assignment, he asked her to paint a portrait of his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. He gave her a photo and instructed her, there should be a flower garland around Guru Maharaj's neck. The tilak should be yellowish, not white, and there should be no effulgence or halo around his head. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Oh, sorry, Mataji. Can we stop here, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, you can stop. That's fine.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तना हृदि अन्तस्थभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतां नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 28, Verse 13. Yavanoparudhayat yot Yavanoparudhayayatano grastayam kalakanyaya puryam prajvara samshrita purapalo nyat pyata Yavanoparudhayat yatno Gristayam kalakanyayam puryam prajvara samshritaha pura palonvattapayato tapyata yavanoparudhayayatno grastayam kalakanyaya puryam prajvara samshrita pura palonvatapyata. Anyone would like to go with the reciting of verse?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I'm trying. Yavano Puradhaya Tono Grastayam Kalo Konnaya Puryam Prajvaro Samasrishta Puro Palo Tapyata. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Then Mataji.
Yavanoparudhyayo tano grastayam kalakannaya puriyam prajvara samsishtaha puropalo anvatapyata. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, may I try please?
Yes, please, Mataji, please.
Evano parudhayantu grastayam kalakanya puryam prajvara samshrittaha pura palo anvat tapyata. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Okay. Someone can read. Would someone like to recite this in an instant translation?
May I?
Yes, please, Mataji.
Okay. Yavan, by the Yavanas, Uprudha, attacked, Aya Tanaha, his abode, Grastayam, when seized, Kalakanyaya, by the daughter of time, Puryam, the city, Prajwar, Samshitaha, being approached by Prajwar, Purpalaha, the city superintendent, Anvatapyat, became also very much aggrieved. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
The city's superintendent of police, the serpent, saw that the citizens were being attacked by Kalkanya, and he became very aggrieved to see his own residence set ablaze after being attacked by the Yavanas. The living entity is covered by two different types of bodies, the gross body and the subtle body. At death, we can see that the gross body is finished, but actually the living entity is carried by the subtle body to another gross body. The so-called scientist of the modern age cannot see how the subtle body is working in carrying the soul from one body to another. This subtle body has been figuratively described as a serpent or the city's police superintendent. When there is fire everywhere, the police superintendent cannot escape either. When there is security and an absence of fire in the city, the police superintendent can impose his authority upon the citizens. But when there is an all-out attack on the city, he is rendered useless. As the life air was ready to leave the gross body, the subtle body also began to experience pain. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my obeisances. So we are discussing chapter 28 of 4th canto and 13th verse. And the chapter's name is Puranjan becomes a woman in the next life. So within this, we are discussing one of the very important and very favorite topic of devotees, which is death. And over the weeks, many devotees have elaborately explained in detail about death. And we'll talk more about it today. So in this particular verse, when the purport, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning, starting by mentioning about two different types of bodies, which is gross body and subtle body, and how the subtle body is rendered useless when the attack of Kalkanya and Yavanas come, which is death personified. Old age, Kalkanya is old age. So how not even just our gross body, but also our subtle body is rendered useless, and it starts experiencing the pain. Now, I'll not speak too much into subtle body and gross body, because yesterday's lecture, Prabhuji has mentioned beautifully in detail about what is subtle body, what is gross body. So we'll just quickly go through the points from purport and see what Srila Prabhupada is trying to explain here. So he's saying that the subtle body, he's using the analogy of police superintendent, right? He's saying that when there is fire everywhere, then even the police superintendent, the city police superintendent, can also not be saved. When there are warnings of, kind of fire or tsunami or any kind of such troubles, then the police superintendent or the authorities can do something. But when there is like full-on attack and they are not prepared about, there was no warning, or there were warnings and they were not taken seriously, what happens is, as it's happening with Puranjan, that the subtle body, which is the 5-footed serpent, 5 different life airs, it start experiencing pain. It start feeling that I'm nothing. I'm also useless. The mind and then subtle body, of course, we all know it is mind, intelligence, and false ego. So it is very difficult for the mind to accept that actually I'm nothing. I'm useless, right? And that is something which happens only at the time of death, because when death comes, when Kal comes, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Kalo Asmi. So when he comes to take you, there's no way to deny. No one can do anything. What about our mind, intelligence, and false ego? Right? So Srila Prabhupada uses this analogy of police superintendent, and we will try to see what Srila Prabhupada also said, that subtle body feels pain while leaving the gross body. So this 5-footed serpent is feeling actually very much pain. Why is it feeling pain? Again, yesterday's class, Abhacharan Prabhuji very nicely mentioned about the attachment, different types of attachment. We'll just look into one example of that. How subtle body why subtle body feels pain, right? Sometimes, and this is just me, that when things are explained in a graphical manner, I understand it and register it more properly. So I'm just reiterating what Abhacharan Prabhuji yesterday mentioned in his class. So I'll just talk about this case here. So, an ant, when he is out looking for food, he'll go out and he'll start looking for, so this is, again, hypothetically, it is not in real life, and all these birds and animals and these jivas, they will just collect how much they want. They will not have greed at all. But let's say if this ant was greedy, and whatever he found in his way back to home, he just picked everything and he said, oh, okay, maybe I can use it in future. Maybe I can use it in future. Oh yeah, I can use it in this. Oh wow, that's so good. I would love to have that. And like that, he put a lot of things in his basket, right? And when he is trying to enter in the ant hole, you see how small it is in the picture, and only little things can come, or rather just the ant. He's unable to take that whole basket inside that hole, and he has to leave that basket. And at that time, he suddenly feels pain. Oh my God, it's better I'll also not go. Itna sab, I've collected so much. I've dreamed about it, and now what? I can't use it. Nah, it's better. I'll stay out of the home and I'll utilize these items for my sense gratification. Similarly, due to innumerable desires we have, the soul has created this, impressions on mind, intelligence, false ego, on the subtle body. The false ego is so strong. We have created that very strong impression that I am the body, not the soul. Right? And that's why when the soul tries to leave the body, subtle body, gross body, both feel so much pain because of the attachment subtle body has for gross body. Right? Prabhupada writes in the purport that as the life air was ready to leave the gross body, subtle body starts feeling pain. Right? And this is just an example where we can see that how ant is standing outside holding that basket, not going inside the house. And similarly, we are just, we're just standing outside this Goloka Dwar and not ready to go because we have so much attachments, so many attachments to material desires, to material people, material things. All those are binding us to not go inside. Yeah. And subtle body is experiencing pain. This is mentioned in scriptures also, how, when we leave, again, Srimad Bhagavatam is an example, but there's this very famous verse of Mukunda Mala Sutra, King Kula Shekhara Alva mentions that, right? Krishna Tvadiya Padapankaja Panjarartam Advaivame Vishatu Manasaraja Hamsa Prana Prayana Samaye Kafavata Pitta Kantha Varodhana Vidhau Smaranam Kutaste. Right? O Lord Krishna, at this moment, let the royal swan of my mind enter the tangled stems of the lotus of your feet. How will it be possible for me to remember you at the time of death when my throat will be choked up with mucus, bile, and air? Death, as Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, that the city superintendent was surprised, like he was not prepared, and he was literally, he couldn't do anything. He was rendered useless, right? So death is actually a surprise attack on general people who are not reading scriptures, who are not believing scriptures, who are just living for their sense gratification. Aharan, nidra, bhai, methunam. Only for these. There's no difference between them and human beings and animals, right? So for them, it is a surprise attack. Having said that, if I'm talking about myself, for me as well, it might not be a surprise attack, but that doesn't mean that I'm prepared for the attack. Srila Prabhupada's very famous this example of a parrot. Srila Prabhupada said that, you can make the parrot learn how to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but when you hold the neck of the parrot, right? But finally, when you catch the neck of the parrot, what will come out? Will he start chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra? He will just say ka, 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 Prabhupada says. Right? The real test is at the time of danger when we can't even speak anything. Okay, Hare Krishna Mantra, we are automatically we can speak. We are habitual to these things, to chanting automatically, right? But when during the last, when the death would come, this is the normal procedure. Mucus, bile, as King Kula Shekhara says, that your throat is choked up, you cannot speak, and that's why Krishna Lord also says, right, antakale cha mamevam smaran. That's where subtle body comes into picture. Your mind comes into picture. Are you able to remember him at the time of death? Not are you able to chant, are you able to remember that chanting, right? And it is very, there's so much pain going through the body. See, when we are very young, it's very easy to say that we are not this body, we are soul. But when we go to old age, then you realize we are the body. Because we feel so much pain. We can't walk sometimes. Like I was having some issues with my ankle, and it was just so painful. You cannot forget that you are not the body. It is so difficult. So at young age, when there's no problem, nothing, devotees might think, or any general public might think, oh, we are not the body, we are soul. But to actually internalize it, to understand it correctly and implement it, that's only done in old age. And for that, we need a lot of practice, so that by the time of old age, we are able to understand that we are not the body, but soul, right? And right now, currently, we all think, thanks to the, see, again, not we all, but I think thanks to the all glories to the Lord's Maya potency, that, oh, it's okay, I'm chanting. So I'll be able to, I'm fine. I'm doing good. I can remember Krishna at the time of death. This kind of illusion I have, and it's all thanks to the all-powerful Lord's Maya potency. But these verses, that's why we have to revisit scriptures every now and then, so that we are grounded, so that we know, right? So that we know who we are. If my throat is choked, Would I be able to remember with so much pain? A question mark. In our scriptures, there's this very specific verse, one-line verse. Kapil Muni is telling this to his, Lord Kapila is saying this to his mom. Jarayatiyasu yakosham nigrinam analo yatha. Bhakti, devotional service, dissolves the subtle body of the living entity without separate effort, just as fire in the stomach digests all that we eat. A very powerful verse I found, because I find it very powerful verse because it just tells us we don't have to worry too much about subtle body. You know, mind, intelligence, false ego. Don't mind the mind. That's a very famous saying. And this, for us, for devotees, that should be true. That should be true because we don't have to worry about subtle body if we perform devotional service. Devotional service dissolves the subtle body, dissolves completely the subtle body. And this is said by Lord Kapila. But then you would say, okay, Mataji, what's new you are saying? We knew that. We knew that devotional service dissolves the subtle body of living entity, but I'm still having, I am confident that I'll still have pain, and I still don't have that complete attachment and surrender to the Lord, right? So devotional service, yeah, one-line answer. We might have known it from the day we joined ISKCON, that devotional service will destroy the subtle body. What's new you are telling us? And again, I'm not telling anything new. It's all in our scriptures. But there, when we have to learn something, there is a theoretical part and a practical part, right? So the theory is that devotional service will destroy the subtle body. What is the practical part? Again, because we're talking about our favorite topic, death, let's hear from the Lord of Death, Yamraj himself. What does he has to say? What is devotional service? What are we supposed to do? The practical aspect of it. एतवानेव लोकेऽस्मिन् पुंसां धर्मा परा स्मृता भक्ति योगो भगवती तन्नामग्रहणादिभिः. Devotional service, beginning with the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, is the ultimate religious principle for the living entity in human society. Here goes our practical part. We have learned bhakti devotional service. Yeah, it destroys everything. It destroys our subtle body. We want our subtle body to be destroyed. We want my mind to be completely engaged in the thoughts of Lord. Yeah, Yamraj says it clearly. Mahajan, one of the Mahajan, what is he saying? The first step, beginning, he's saying, beginning with the chanting of the holy names. How important it is to chant the holy names. And then he says further that one who constantly hears and chants the holy name of the Lord and hears and very easily attain the platform of pure devotional service, which can cleanse the dirt from one's heart. One cannot achieve such purification merely by observing vows and performing Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. So maybe, you know, someone has doubt that, oh, okay, chanting is fine, but there might be uske saath something else we have to do. Yamraj, the greatest Mahajan, he actually says that one who constantly hears and chants the holy name of the Lord and hears and chants about his activities can very easily attain the platform of devotional service, pure devotional service. And he's also saying that one cannot achieve such purification merely by observing vows and performing Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. You know, recently when we were revisiting Canto 6, we read that this is during the story of Ajamil. I'm sure every one of you would know. And what Yamraj said in one of the verses was, you should have not gone to take Ajamil. You know, he said his Yamadutas, he was saying, you know, he's a Vaishnava. Yamraj says Ajamil is a Vaishnava. Why? Because he chanted once the name of Lord Narayan. Our Guru Maharaj said that he was not a Vaishnava before. He was a Brahmana. He was performing, and Lord, as he was a ritualistic Brahmana. But for once when he said Narayana, Yamraj is saying Oh, you did a Vaishnava Aparadh. You, Yamdutas, you actually went and caught him. You should have not done. He's a great Vaishnava just because of Namabhas. So, of course, that's the same Yamraj who's guiding us that chanting is the only way. And there's no other way. There's no other way. And of course, we have in scriptures, Lord himself has told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came, he told us this, right? There is no Harinam, Harinam. There's no other way. Bhakti yoga se hi hoga. This is just a bit cheeky, but I love this thing. My mother loves yoga and she always keeps on telling me yoga se hi yoga. And I said, no, bhakti yoga se hi hoga. So that's what Srila Prabhupada has taught us, right? Chant Hare Krishna and spread Hare Krishna. These are the only two things we require. Now, again, there is an issue here. Chanting, okay, chanting is fine, Mataji. Our sins will get destroyed with Namabhas and all, but pure taste. If it would have been so easy, we wouldn't be having the Japa retreat, right? Much awaited Japa retreat, which we are having now in June. So what it's not that easy. So what are we supposed to do while doing the first practical part of devotional service, which is chanting, and we encountered some issues? What are we supposed to do? Then there are two things. The first and very important thing is prayers. How Lord gave protection to Prahlad Maharaj. We just need to pray to the Lord, tell him our shortcomings, tell him how fallen we are. We are unable to do this. See, the problem is sometimes we go out and tell devotees and other people that we are fallen. And what they do, they say, no, no, no. You are not fallen, Mataji. You're not fallen. What you are saying, you're fallen. That's, you're just, you're so humble. What it does, it boosts our false ego to another level altogether. Rather, going to devotees and telling, we should go to the Lord and say that we are really fallen, Lord. Please protect us. Please, I have all these shortcomings. I'm unable to do the sadhana as per the standard what Srila Prabhupada has told me. Please help me to follow Srila Prabhupada's instruction properly. Please help me to chant Hare Krishna and spread Hare Krishna, right? In the class, His Grace Gauranga Darshan Prabhuji mentioned that we should always pray to the Lord for protection of our consciousness, to protect our consciousness, right? And now we have talked about chanting, and if chanting is, we are having some issues in chanting, then we should pray to the Lord, we should go to the Lord. And when we tell this to the Lord, see, when we tell to the Lord that we are having these shortcomings and all those things, when we talk to the Lord, actually, it is like we are telling ourselves, we are reminding ourselves what problems we have. Otherwise, we'll always keep on thinking, no, I am fine, I'm good. Well, what's wrong in me? ठीक है, as time, place, circumstances. What I can do with 2 kids is more than enough. I'm doing more than enough. We have to be very practical. So we keep on telling these things to us, but when we tell the Lord that, these are the shortcomings I'm having, then our mind is listening, our subtle body is listening. Otherwise, what happens that you are actually telling the king himself that I'm going to attack on you. It's like, you are telling your mind itself, now, I have so many issues with myself. What am I supposed to do? You know what? From tomorrow, I'm not going to listen to whatever my mind says and all. And who are you sharing this with? With your own mind. Am I making sense? I hope so. But, and hence, instead of telling ourselves, we should actually tell this to the Lord, because the Lord will find the right place this knowledge needs to go, which is he will give a understanding to us that actually, and he'll keep it as a secret to the mind as well, but slowly and steadily, the part of subtle body which needs to register that we are actually fallen and I have this much shortcomings will get registered by prayers, right? So once we have done the chanting and we have prayed to the Lord, these 2 measures, what we talked about, these in performing devotional service, these are all based on our endeavor, right? The more we endeavor, the sincere we are, all these 2 aspects will work. But even if we are lacking sincerity, we are praying, but we are still struggling. There is this very great hand, very great hand in our progress of devotional service, which again, Abhaycharan Prabhuji yesterday mentioned. So again, as I mentioned, I'm just reiterating his class again. So that is devotees. the hand of devotees in our progress, unseen hand of devotees in our progress, Why, the first two aspects we talked about are not enough? It can be enough, but Lord wants to make sure that we understand the importance of devotees, and hence he makes sure that these two only are not enough. Because Lord wants us to remember that we are under the mercy of devotees. Because when we'll go to Golok Vrindavan, what we'll do, there would be so many, there would be like, Lord is always crowded with his devotees. What are we going to do if we are, I think was it His Grace Padmasambha Prabhuji mentioned that, oh, Lord would be thinking, oh my God, I'll not bring this guy here. He's going to create issues, much problems in Golok Vrindavan. So, it's better you stay in material world only. Right? Lord wants us to remember that we are under the mercy of devotees. We have to gel along with devotees, and we have to understand how much they help us in our progress, how much unseen hand they have in our progress, right? Lord wants us to remember that we are not achievers, we are receivers of the mercy of devotees, receivers of the mercy of the Lord. If that is actually, again, we are talking about subtle body, that's again a blow to our false ego, where we are not achievers. I'm actually on someone's mercy in devotional life. Yes, we are. That's the major learning of dissolving the subtle body. It is a big blow to our false ego that we cannot and will ever not be able to be enough if we are not serving Srila Prabhupada and if we are not serving the devotees. See, I got this very nice picture from to make it understanding. It's the middle person here. She is trying to climb the wall. It's all of us. We are trying to climb this devotional service. We are trying to reach to Golok Vrindavan. And here, the pulling is done by all the previous acharyas. They are helping us. If we are doing the endeavor of chanting, following four regulative principles, and praying to the Lord of our shortcomings, they are actually pulling us up towards Golok Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada and our previous acharyas. And what about this pushing as well to make our journey more smooth, more easy? And that is done by our Siksha Guru, Diksha Guru, all senior devotees. We learn so much from them. We don't realize it, but again, as we don't realize how we are, accumulating our subtle body, similarly, we don't realize how much devotees help us in our devotional service, how much they protect us. They are literally like Raksha Kavach. They protect us immensely in our devotional service. Just imagine if there is no pushing and pulling, will this lady be able to climb? It's not possible. And that's what Lord wants us to remember, that we are not achievers, we are receivers of the mercy of devotees. Only then we would be able to progress in our spiritual life. I'll end this class with this prayer for us to remember the importance of devotees by Vritrasur. Aham hareta padaika dasanudaso bhavitasmi bhuya manasmareta shupater gunamste grani tavakarma karo tukaya. Translation: O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, will I again be able to be a servant of your eternal servants who find shelter only at your lotus feet? O Lord of my life, may I again become their servant so that my mind may always think of your transcendental attributes, my words always glorify those attributes, and my body always engage in the loving service of your Lordship. How beautifully the whole subtle body is captured here. Your mind, the main culprit within the subtle body. Mind will always think of your transcendental attributes, and your gross body is also involved because the body is always engaged in the loving service of your Lordship. And who is making it possible? The devotees. Only your pure devotees, Lord, Vidrasura is saying. And it's a very short purport. We'll read the purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. See, we are nowhere without Srila Prabhupada. If Srila Prabhupada would have not given us these gems of purpose, we were nowhere. So Srila Prabhupada says, this verse gives the sum and substance of devotional life. One must first become a servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord, Dasanudasa. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised, and he also showed by his own example, that a living entity should always desire to be a servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna, the maintainer of the gopis. Gopir Bharatur, Padakamalayur Dasan Dasa. This means that one must accept a spiritual master who comes in the disciplic succession and is a servant of the Lord. Under his direction, one must then engage one's three properties, namely his body, mind, and words. The body should be engaged in physical activity under the order of the master. The mind should think of Krishna incessantly, and one's words should be engaged in preaching the glories of the Lord. If one is thus engaged in the loving service of the Lord, one's life is successful. Purport 6:11-24 Srimad Bhagavatam. This gives, as Srila Prabhupada says, this gives the sum and substance of devotional life. The older we become, it will become very difficult for us to fight with the subtle body. So don't fight with the subtle body. Just try to, as His Grace Purijan Prabhuji once mentioned, that the older we become, we are less passionate to change our nature. That's what happens. But he said, you don't have to change your nature. Just keep your nature as it is. That's fine. But within that nature, what is the best possible way that I can serve Srila Prabhupada and the devotees in the mission? That would take us back to Godhead. It will completely dissolve our subtle body. Right? A quick recap. So we are talking about dissolving the subtle body through devotional service, chanting and following 4 regulative principles. The practical part we were talking about was chanting and following 4 regulative principles. The second part was prayers for Lord's mercy and protection regarding the shortcomings. Very important part, serving Srila Prabhupada and devotees. If we do that, our chanting and prayers for Lord's mercy will increase in quality multiple bounds. So on that note, I will like to end the discussion here, but please, any realizations, comments, additions, and if I missed out anything or have done some mistakes, please feel free to add in. Thank you so much. And please, we all should be always praying to Lord and Srila Prabhupada to keep us engaged in his service, Srila Prabhupada's service to the movement. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sita, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Dandavat Pranam, Mataji. Very, very wonderful class. Very, very wonderful class. I especially loved the point you said about that we are all receivers of the mercy and we are not achievers. So that is my big learning for today. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much for a very nice class explaining the verse from all different angles, and particularly about how to dissolve the subtle body. And very nicely pointed out that the the all-round effort to get rid of that is the Bhakti Yoga, is the only way to get rid of that. And for Bhakti Yoga, the first thing one has to, as you have rightly pointed out, that the first one we have to fulfill what is our duty as a devotee, that means regulative principle we have to follow. And then the second one is important, is to associate with the devotees. And it has been ample number of times it has been stressed by Srila Prabhupada in different verses and different lectures. He has pointed out that whenever the process of advancing in Krishna consciousness and devotional service is to associate with the devotees. And in verse 3:25-25, Shatang prasangan mama birja samvido bhavanti hridakarana rashayana katha tajoshanat apavagvatmani shraddha bhakti rati kurmishati. So these are the process by which one has to do that. The first thing is that you have to associate with the devotee. And when we do that, in their association, what is our shortcomings? That is repaired by the association of devotees, provided we have the proper attitude if you maintain the proper attitude. In other words, we have to respect them and learn from them and we should not be, we should be very much humble to realize from them, learn from them, and that is the first qualification. Unless we are humble, we cannot accept the lessons given by them. So with their association, we cultivate our Krishna consciousness. Automatically, the door for liberation is certain, and there is no doubt about that, because Krishna in various places have mentioned that he is more dear to his devotees than himself. Sometimes one who serves his devotees is considered, is loved by Krishna more than his own devotees, because that is not the way directly approaching the Krishna. It is not the right way. So the importance of devotees you have very nicely explained. And so in this way, if we remain with the association of devotees and pursue our devotional service with their guidance, and we are ready to learn from them, our progress is certain, and we should not have any doubt, because ultimately, when the Lord is there and His mercy is there through His devotees, our progress is certain, and we should not have any doubt, nor the path is any, there should be any doubt in the path, because it is already done by other devotees in the past. They have achieved success. So we know there is the right path, and if we remain in the right path, in the right way, then our success is also right, will be certain, and there is no doubt about that. And thank you for bringing out that point. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. Oh, I think there is a question.
Yes, Mother, there are questions on
Okay.
the chat.
How do we know the difference between our attitude and nature? I would like to change my nature to be more cooperative, which is difficult for me. So how do we know the difference between our attitude and nature? So if there is a difference between your attitude and nature, you would know if you are performing any activity, you are not performing it very easily. There are some sort of it's not such an easy process for you to do. If it's not safe, if it's not my nature to be very welcoming to unannounced guest, and if someone come unannounced, my attitude towards them would not be very correct, very happy, very hearty. I would just open the door and I would say, oh, okay. Any kind of uncomfort where you feel, that, okay, that's not my nature to welcome. We say that I'm not comfortable in a particular position, in a particular situation, in a particular position. If we are captain, we are not comfortable in that. That's where, because our nature is not like that, and hence our attitude becomes a bit uncomfortable, awkward at times. If you would like to change your nature to be more cooperative, the Mataji who has asked this question, I know she's very cooperative. It's humble of her to ask that for others as well. But if you want to change your nature to be more cooperative, there has to be a conscious effort. There has to be a conscious effort under the guidance of your Siksha Guru or Diksha Guru. So this is a point, and thanks for bringing this question, Mataji, because this is a point which actually I forgot to raise it. When we were talking about associating with devotees, there is a very important point, important action which we need to perform in order to get the right association from the devotees. That is Guhyam Akhyati Prachati. We are supposed to confidentially inquire them in confidence, not confidentially, but we have to keep them in confidence and inquire from them, how are you able to do it? I am unable to do it, and I want to change this nature. I really want to learn how to be good at chanting, how to, in this case, to be more cooperative. It's getting very difficult for me at times. Can you please help me in that? There was this story about, a forest officer and a hunter. The hunter went and out and hunt for a wolf, and he killed the wolf. Not completely, but like 90% of the wolf was dead, of course. So he thought that, okay, I'll just pack him up and I'll take it. But what happened was, while he was packing, the forest officer came, and then this person, the hunter, actually in rush, just not to get caught, what he did was he actually the bag in which he tied the wolf and he was going to keep it in his car, what he did was he actually kept it, like, he hugged that bag as if it has his own belongings, and started talking to the forest officer. The forest officer said, "Oh, I just heard a gunshot and I thought that there's some sort of killing. Have you seen anything?" And he was like, "Nah, nothing's happening." And they were talking for 5-10 minutes in general talks and all. And in that meantime, that 10% of the wolf, which was very badly wounded but not fully killed yet, he started eating the flesh of the hunter. But because if Hunter was worried that, oh, I might get caught, so I can't tell the forest officer. So he just kept quiet. And after 10 minutes or so, the forest officer went. But by that time, the hunter was very badly wounded as well. See, if we don't want to get wounded, we need to ask such questions. And because I don't know you that nicely personally, that's why I'm saying if someone who knows in detail, they would be able to best advise you how to become more cooperative based on your nature. But there's one thing which I would like to say, it has to be a conscious effort. Your subtle body needs to understand that, your mind needs to understand that while performing any activity which is related to cooperation with devotees, I will feel uncomfortable. And that is okay. It is okay to not feel comfortable all the time. Otherwise, the highest goal, which is by going back to Godhead, that would be lost. So it's a conscious effort to change the nature. And if we practice, I think, if we consciously practice a particular thing for 21 days or more, that actually becomes a habit. And then habit slowly and steadily converts into nature, right? If you want to be more cooperative, please remember, we are completely under the mercy of devotees. Once that knowledge sinks in, we would be able to understand that, okay, if I'm completely under the mercy of that person, I have to do what he wants. I have to make sure that, I am doing my best to uh, give him what he is asking for. Of course, that has to be spiritual, and that has to be valid question as well, whatever they're asking, whatever service or anything like that you are giving. But yeah, it has to be a conscious effort through your mind, intelligence, and of course, false ego. If we want to purify our mind, we do chanting. If we want to purify our intelligence, we read the scriptures. And with chanting, with our sadhana, and with scriptures, we get strong. And with false ego can only be dissolved by doing service to the devotees. So with that knowledge, if you go towards any problem or any situation like this, you would be able to understand that, okay, that's what I think. It might be easier said than done. But if anyone else want to put in their thoughts here.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Sorry for being late. I was actually a bit late last night. Anyway, just to, if you allow me to add something,
Please.
what I have in, just a simple words, be in an adaptive nature rather than a repulsive nature. That's why we are called practicing devotee. We need to practice it. Only practice makes you perfect. And that is the way. If you don't change, nothing will change. So we have to change ourselves by adopting the way it is favorable to us. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, a conscious effort with practice definitely would make, and the prayers of Lord and devotees work wonders, Mataji, Jade Mataji. So please don't think that it's a very big task. It is not a big task. This is again our subtle body illusion, the great Maya potency of the Lord giving us these things. It's very easy to be cooperative with devotees.
Hare Krishna Mataji, it appears there is no other person to make comments. So you may conclude the class. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
Kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuvaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Bhakti Sita Mataji ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hari.
Krishna.